Maybe, but at the same time, there was a big wet market nearby, and a lot of bad viruses have emerged out of things like wet markets. In fact, every major pandemic and devastating virus that we've had for the past 100 years most likely has come from China, and very likely come from things like wet markets. So that's why I'm kind of undecided.
Yeah, fair enough. But I don't know. But okay, even if it turns out that it didn't escape from a lab, isn't it a bit unfair just to say people that believe that it did are conspiracy theorists when there's just such a plausible who done it right before your eyes, and yet the
Yes.
burden of proof really belongs to the people that say that it isn't or hasn't escaped from the lab.
Well, I wouldn't say the burden of proof primarily falls on either, but I would say that dismissing people making the case for lab leak and the kind of ad hominem attacks and calling them uh, grifters and conspiracy theorists, I don't agree with that.
Okay, fair enough. But then, all right, so part two, follow the money. Isn't that the ancient principle of journalism?
Yes.
If you and it always seems as though those with the most to lose, and I mean financially, forget about prestige and all those other things,
Hmm.
just plain old dollars and cents, those with the most to lose have the most invested interest in promoting the thesis that continues their funding, right?
Yes.
And isn't it clear? And you outlined this perfectly. That they can always use their expertise as a shibboleth to hide behind the fact that they're just simply trying to keep that income coming so they don't have to live in a neighborhood filled with super predators.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, like every group wants to protect its expertise and be effective and circle the wagons. And so yeah, there are all sorts of professional reasons why virologists would have contempt for the lab leak hypothesis. Like it would be really
Mm,
bad for them. Like it would be if you
mm.
were a virologist and it came out that the pandemic came from a lab leak. I mean, your status would plunge. Like some people would be spat on.
Yeah. I mean, I think 5 years from now, it's just going to be a joke that it was even like an opposite case would have been considered. You know, a non-lab leak theory would have even been considered. And the same thing goes for global warming. It's this exact same thing. You know, science is funded by national science grants. Or was it
Yeah,
by
from the government. Yeah, largely
from the
from the
government,
government.
right? And there's so many projects tied to this global warming, hypothesis that they've circled the wagons around this, and then this circling of the wagons is in itself seen as evidence. The
Yes.
famous 97%. Then you're threatening the process of science itself. You're
Yeah.
not. You're threatening the funding base of science.